Oh, good evening, everybody. I'm your horsepower and performance host and broadcaster, Terry Bridges. I've got a great show for you on tap tonight. First of all, I want to welcome back into the studio my guest host tonight, none other than the man they call One Time Shane Smith. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, doing good. Just glad to be back.
Yeah, man. Good to have you back. One Time's going to be hanging with us tonight. Like I said, we got an awesome show for you. He's going to be debuting his own segment. We call it Hanging with One Time. So you're going to have to hang out, though, in order to hear what One Time's up to. So going to be awesome. We're going to also be talking to Mr. Topher Classic himself, Christopher Rawlings. We'll be finding out a little bit about what he does, his take on what it's going to take to win the big one, the 2015 Cage Cup, and who he thinks the odds-on favorite are to win. And then in our loading up segment, we're going to give you just a little quick heads up on race fuel and some of the basics that you need to know. All this and more on tonight's show. So whether you're out in the shop working, like the hitman Ryan Diotti, or just hanging out with us, strap in for the quickest hour on the web. Wow, in our drivers meeting, lots and lots of stuff coming up. Weekend after next is the West Coast Nationals, March 13th through the 15th at Red Bluff. Now, one time I've never been to Red Bluff. Have you been down there?
I haven't had the chance yet.
Me either. But I know it's the headquarters for cage kart racing all on the West Coast. I mean, everybody goes. I think they had something like 40. I don't know what it was. It's like 44 cars last weekend. I mean, it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, and the talent there is absolutely impressive. Chances are if guys running a sprint car during the summer, he's running a cage kart during the winter there. And
I know it's crazy, but so that's going on, and that's pretty cool. That's coming up, like I said, the 13th through the 15th, which is next weekend. So lots of Northwest folks going down there to compete. Over east. And One Time we'll know a little bit about this. The Race-O-Rama and their $2,400 purse going to be happening at Meridian Speedway. And that's this weekend, March 7th and 8th. Cages, UAS, and the UAS Sportsman, KTs, and a host of others on tap. That should be pretty cool.
Yeah, it should be a great show. I believe this is the first year that they've had the UAS carts there, and I know a few guys that are heading down. It's going to be a great show. A lot of tough competition there.
Yeah, for sure. And that's coming up this weekend, the 7th and 8th. And like I said, the UAS guys are going to be there, the KTs. I think even some cage kart guys are going over there. I think Ben Siliker's going over there, who had a big weekend this weekend, but we'll get more to that in just a minute. The big one coming up, the 2015 Cage Cup, coming March 27th through the 29th. Now, One Time, were you at last year's, or have you seen one of these Cage Cups over the last couple of years?
I haven't been able to, but they look impressive. I mean, they talk about a lot of great drivers in one spot. You know.
Oh, dude, I was blessed enough to get to call this thing last year, and I'm going to be doing it again this year. I mean, I think there was like 150 cars last year. I mean, it was nuts. And
wow.
I mean, lots of good racing going on, and it was pretty much 2 solid days. I mean, from the time you got there until it was time to go home, there was racing going on there. So
yeah, I know they had a ton of mains too. I mean, they a lot of alphabet running into that.
Oh yeah, man. It was crazy. I mean, just totally crazy. So that's coming up March 27th through the 29th at the Salem Speedway on the Oregon State Fairgrounds. And I don't know if you know Matt Enos One Time, but he's been working his tail off trying to make this a prestigious event. And I know there's been some talk about it being a circus and some other stuff, and at this point, just not fair. I mean, we're not even there yet. We haven't even run any laps yet. So, I mean, it's kind of like let's go there and give this guy a shot. I mean, how can it be a circus? We hadn't even run a lap yet.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was a little bit at the talk at the Buddha coming up. Everybody has looked at years past, but it was for the most part clean this year. And I think once people get through their heads, they need to race smart because it is a big race and they got to get through the thing. Calmer heads will prevail.
Amen to that. And and hopefully everybody that's in on that deal is takes that to heart. I mean, it's supposed to be fun and a good time, and so let's certainly not ruin it by calling stuff before it's even happening. Seth Apple, my man, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. One time this guy here, Seth Apple, he's always calling me. He's hitting me on Facebook. Man, can I help you out? Is there something I can get for you? So I've kind of made him my Rotax guy. He finds out some good info and he feeds it along to me. So he's been a huge help, and he's actually a pretty good wheel. He runs on the Gold Cup, the asphalt stuff. So good kid, and he's just super awesome. So Seth Apple, thanks for tuning in. I know One Time thinks you're pretty cool now, so you're hooked up.
That doesn't always mean much.
But we got Joe Stackman, the Iron Man, in the house. Welcome, Joe Stackman. Scott Warning, man, this guy ever since day one, since he's been on the show, Scott Warning has been on every show. Scott Warning, I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate that. That is pretty. That's pretty cool. Your boy's in the house. Case Hankins, big Case. What's going on, buddy?
I know he's getting ready to head out to Racer-Rama there, see what he can do.
Yeah, I'm sure he's been getting the Jawa tips from you, huh?
Give him anything I can, any info I can help with.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on, we got what do we got? Hey, I got hit up by Ben Deathridge, another a fine announcer that's out there. And he's more on the sprint car side of things. And he's got a new page, on Facebook. It just got me so choked up. It's called the Western Sprint Tour. And, of course, Ben Deathridge started the page. It's on Facebook. Do me a favor. Stop by and like that page for Ben Deathridge, in this deal of we got a little competition going on here, and gigs are going for gigs. But, I think a lot of Ben Deathridge as an announcer, and, I want the best for him. I think there's more than enough for us to go around. Ben, just don't you start getting in my territory, but no, I'm just kidding. But seriously, stop by and check out his page, Western Sprint Tour. Like it for him. Leave a comment. There's lots of good info on it. Ben Deathridge is like he's like the stat man. He's got loads of interesting stats and stuff on there. So check that out. Have you been there yet?
I haven't yet. I'll definitely get into it this week.
Right on. Wes Snow in the house. Let me tell you, I got a chance to talk to Wes Snow last week in depth. What a stand-up guy. What a knowledgeable guy, and he's just good for our sport. No doubt about it.
Absolutely. He made the trip out to Phoenix this year for the Holiday Classic. Got to see what some of the West Coast racing's all about, and we accepted him. I don't know why.
Well, I do after talking to him. Mr. Diotti in the house, man, stand-up guy too. I got a chance to talk to him today. He made my whole day. It's kind of in the dumps there for a little bit, but I appreciate everybody getting on there and kicking me in the fanny and getting my stuff back together. Boy, stock car fans, I don't know how many of these guys are late model guys. I think if you're a race fan, you almost got to like it all, but man, you do not want to miss this coming up. The first annual Leonard Evans 200, April 24th through the 25th at the Wenatchee Valley Super Oval. 10K to win, so not quite as big as Kern County this last weekend, or was it last weekend? I think it was last weekend or weekend before, but still the first annual Leonard Evans 200. Should be a lot of good local hot dogs out there. It should bring out some really good talent, I'm thinking, from all over, but a lot of it just because Garrett Evans is putting on the show, but yeah, that should 10K to win. That should draw some folks out.
Oh yeah, you're going to get a lot of people looking after looking to chase that money, and that's a good place to do it.
Absolutely. So man, Scott Moore, I just can't appreciate. Hey, look at that, JP Karting in the house. Joe Penta. Let me tell you, they got their program rolling. From what I understand, I'm talking to Diotti today, and he's saying, man, those guys have been going to work. I mean, and they're not clowning around. So.
Oh no, and I think Joe's got probably the best looking stuff in the country. You know, it's absolutely gorgeous, and every piece is perfect.
Yeah, man, Justin Jones. I don't know if you saw that picture of a U.S. right. That was just. I mean, some people started saying, well, it didn't have a UAS motor on it, so I'm not sure if I would run that kind of a. I don't know if I'd want my cart to look like that if I didn't have a. Man, I'm telling you what. I don't care what motor was on that thing. That thing was gorgeous. And if you had, like I was saying, if our field of your new series coming up, if we had a field of Yamahas looking like that, are you kidding me? You'd be the talk of the nation.
Absolutely. I mean, it just goes to show you that, it doesn't have to be one of these big UAS open carts to look absolutely beautiful. I think every cart should look that, whether it's got a stock clone on it or a fuel injected 450.
I agree. I don't see what difference it makes. And then we got the 9, the Rocket, Ronnie Cox in the house. He says, I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Oh, I think he'll still get fined.
It might only be $9, but hey,
we have a minimum speed he needs to hit on this track.
I'll tell you what. You know what? Nobody stands a chance here. Hey, we even got our in the seat guest, Christopher Rowling, joining in. He'll be up on the show here very shortly. And, hey, you cart part bargain hunters. One Time's got a deal for you. One Time, tell us a little bit more about what's going on there.
Yeah, pretty excited. We got the first annual Northwest Speedway Karting Racers Swap Meet. This is going to be a cart-only swap meet. April 26th at the Grand Prix Indoor Karting in Tacoma, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., bring all your stuff out. This is a great opportunity for someone new looking to get into the sport to pick up something and start running. So, we're inviting sprint guys or road course guys, just anything kart related. Bring it on down.
And is there going to be? I mean, is there going to be anything else more going on? Is it just the swap meet, or is there something in conjunction, with it?
It's just the swap meet, but there is an indoor kart track, so I'm sure a few races may take place throughout the day.
Oh, so One Time is going to be on the indoor probably.
Well, there might. I might bring. Let's just say the helmet's going to be in the truck.
Hey, that's as it should always be, right? Always bring that suit and helmet because you never know. That's right. You never. 3 more inches tonight. West Snow is going to get. You know what? I don't know if you saw that thing I put on his Facebook page, but it says say snow one more time, and it's got who's the guy that plays the Tyler Perry? He's got the plays the Black Mama. Got the gun, clicking it, getting ready. Yeah. 3 more inches of snow. Sorry, Wes. I hate to hear that. It's almost springtime, but
yeah, they've been getting killed with weather back east, trying to get some races in. It's just not happening.
No, not at all. So, man, let's see here. Heard the Wall at Salem filed a no contact order against the 9. Sean Carr, owie. Hey, moving on to our Winner's Circle Wednesday. Got lots of stuff going on there. Last weekend's event. Mike Wheeler. You heard of Mike Wheeler?
I have.
Yeah. Dude can wheel. And no pun intended. But he, at Red Bluff, he got his first win last weekend. He came from the back. They had 44 entries in their cage kart field, which is, enormous. I'm thinking anywhere. But he came all the way from the back. A fuel issue before the start of the feature put him to the tail end of the field. He carved his way to the front for his first win of the season. Casey Starr, I don't know do you know Casey Starr?
I do. Quite the driver. Lots to come from her.
Dude, let me just tell you one time. She won it Saturday, and she's currently top of the leaderboard in championship points. And I think with that being kind of the final, I think this coming up weekend. Is it this week? No, weekend after, because we're off this weekend, but that will be the close. So if she wins it and is the champ, she's entitled and she's eligible to be in that race of champions that they're going to have at the Cage Cup. That's one of the criteria. You're a champ or former champ. I don't know if that's for sure going on. I've been hitting back and forth with Enos, but I think it's still on tap. So she could easily be in that deal, which would be kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, the way that she's been running this year, I think she's got to be a front runner to at Cage Cup.
Yeah, I mean she's the deal. I mean she's showing that she belongs up there. Man, my man Sean Peterson house. You know, what a great guy. He's an asphalt guy. And Sean Peterson, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate the kind words there, buddy. Let's see here. Moving on. Young gun, Ben Siliker, who is kind of working hand in hand with Wheeler. I think they're working out like a dual sponsorship thing. But he won the junior sprint class Saturday night at Salem. And I'm going to assume that must be the micros or whatnot, which against Lindsey Barney and some of those other ones. So Ben Siliker can wheel it. So he won that. Stock car fans were treated to a heck of a show at Kern County Raceway. Bubba Pollard headed back home to Georgia, 25K richer, as he got by pole sitter Derek Thorne on lap 147 after a restart. And Thorne was a pole sitter. And then here's my deal right here. Former karting standout, Dalton Sargent. Have you heard of Dalton Sargent?
I haven't.
He's a Rotax guy, and he's good, and he's fast, and he's 16 years old. He went on to finish second, pole sitter, and he led 125 of the 250 laps. Thorne, he finished third, and then another go-karter, Blaine Rocha, was fourth. So that leads me to the question, when is karting going to get the respect that it deserves?
You'd think it'd be there already. You look at how many of the NASCAR guys have, come from karting. I know Harvick. Look at Trevor Bayne was in karting. So the karters are out there. They're just not getting heard, I guess.
I guess. I haven't seen him on here before, but hey, Ford Cook in the house. Hey, Scott Morgan, thanks for listening in, buddy. I appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully you brought some more of your peeps with you, but we're just trying to grow the show, doing the best we can. But, yeah, I'm telling you, karting doesn't get near enough respect, and it's tragic, actually, but that's another story. I guess the bigger thing is, why aren't these guys like Harvick and, Jamie McMurray and some of these other guys? It takes 30 seconds to get out of your car and say, support your local kart shop and your local kart track. That's where we came from. We wouldn't be here without that. I mean, you don't hear that very often. I don't know. That's just my deal. Moving on, WHR Motorsports had their final indoor series. That was a weekend after the BK. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they wrapped it up just the week after. I believe it was a doubleheader too.
Ooh, wow. Well, hey, and a lot of these guys you probably know. So, who won Yamaha Light?
That'd be Trey Starks. I mean, sprint car standout Trey Starks.
Awesome. And heavy, Yamaha Heavy went to none other than Joe's Racing Products, the backed effort of Spencer Constance. So, I mean, Joe's is in the house all over. How about this? Who won the Open and the Pro Open?
Alex Hantel, had a little trouble early on in the season, but from about the third race on, he was absolutely the one to beat in both the Open and the Pro Open class. Picked up a bunch of wins.
Wow. So now, was Dallas Melby, did he run the Open class, or was he a KT guy all the way?
No, he was running Open, I believe Pro Open as well. That's just how fast Alex was. There was a bunch of really good fast karts there. And
wow, that's awesome. And then how about this one? So Hantel took both the Open and the Pro Open, so congratulations. Now, these are all champions now. And then you've got Haley Constance, who took the kid kart division.
Yeah, she, pretty much if you're going to have the last name's Constance, you're going to be fast in just about anything you got.
Absolutely. And let me just say, Joe's Racing, Joe Constance and his wife, just two super, super good peeps. I mean, they just don't get any better than the folks at Joe's, I don't think.
Absolutely. A racing family that just supports racing to the fullest extent.
Yeah, absolutely. And then a big congrats to a guy by the name of Kyle Keenan. I don't know how many of you know Kyle Keenan, but he was Racer.com's Club Racer of the Year. Early on in the year, one of the shows, I told you about going to vote there. And, man, let me just say, Kyle Keenan ends up winning this thing. He was a B-spec racer, and he's got a special place in my heart because he actually drove a Kia Rio. Now, I don't have a Rio, but I have a Spectra. And so...
Just as racy.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, hey, I got to go with my boy with the Kia.
We got an update. The kid kart division was Brooklyn Constance.
Oh, it was Brooklyn. Okay. Well, it's funny how we got the update from the guy who gave me the original notes. I think. What is that right, Rocket? Or did I screw that up? He says, "LOL."
We can just blame him, I guess.
It's just easier to.
Yeah.
Always throw the blame on the 9. But the impressive 44 can talk and type at the same time. Unbelievable. We got. So anyway, so now that leads us to our next thing. My co-host been awesome. He's got his own segment coming up. So when he's going to be here, you guys get to check it out, and it's the debut segment of right here on the Northwest Race Report, and it's called Hanging with One Time.
What I wanted to talk about today is just your thought process after leaving the track. You've gone out for practice, you've gone out for a heat race. The minute you get off the track and get settled into your pit area, start thinking about what changes you can make to the engine, to the chassis, tires. Start thinking about what's going to make you faster next time out. Start thinking about track changes. We're heading into the summer right now. Sun beating down on the track, more karts are on it. The track's going to change. That's not only big changes in dirt, but you're also going to get a lot more heat on the asphalt too. So, I can guarantee you, if you aren't trying to make yourself faster, someone else is, and they're going to be the ones to beat you.
Great. Super good point. I mean, I think now is that something one time you think that your crew should be over, so how is it, the minute you get off the racetrack, or should they give you a little bit of time to kind of maybe rerun your laps before they start asking you, what do we need to change?
I think it depends on the driver. I do think it's up to the crew to not only help in the pit, but help on the track. They got to be watching how your kart's handling and giving their feedback. Because as a driver, you may think that, hey, this corner was really bad, but who knows? Maybe that's where you were beating everybody in the field. But you have to work with your crew to be able to fine tune what questions they should ask you and how to get the best feedback from you.
Absolutely, and I think that's all stuff that. Before you go out and before you handle all that stuff, you need to be saying, hey, guys, when I come off, don't be hassling me right away. Give me a minute to kind of get myself back together. But, I mean, awesome information right there. For some of you that haven't raced before, one time's the guy, man. So, like you said, kind of go over it one more time one time.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Just have the right thought process when you come off the track. Like I said, plain and simple. Just be ready to make changes to your kart.
Absolutely. And with that, that is our newest segment. And every time Shane's going to be with us, and I think it's going to be is it going to be every other week? You think
about every 3 weeks or so.
So you can look forward to hanging with one time. He's going to have something special going on. And what's up next?
Before we hear from our in-the-seat guest, we have a quick caution flag, chance for a pit stop, and hear from the folks at O'Hagan Karts and Supplies.
So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back. Ask any racer and they'll tell you, crashing sucks. And the only thing worse than crashing is lousy customer service. The staff at O'Hagan's Karts and Supplies are racers themselves and are committed to giving you the kind of service that you need to get your stuff quickly and easily. With their good old-fashioned race shop service, quality parts and safety accessories, and custom fab shop, O'Hagan's is committed to getting you back on the racetrack fast. You want to win. O'Hagan's wants to help. O'Hagan's Karts and Supplies, Atwater, California. 209-201-1829. Hey, all right, we're back. Thanks for tuning in, the good folks at O'Hagan's Karts and Supplies, one of the great sponsors here. As well as, I got to tell, Scott Sealcoat hooked me up with some stickers. I know a lot of you got those on your rides. Hopefully you're sporting those good. I just want to give a big shout-out to Scott McDowell at Scott Sealcoat. And be sure you support him if you need any kind of striping or seal coat repair. spread the word. Scott Sealcoat is the best. He'll take good care of you. He's got great people, and he's a straight up and good guy. So, Scott, if you're listening in tonight, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Hey, I just saw something on the chat line from Scott Warning. He worked out a deal with Burris, and they're going to start testing the 37-inch Burris tires. Do you know anything about that one?
Yeah, I've got a set in the trailer. It's a completely redesign of the tire specifically for the UAS and the high horsepower stuff. It takes a different thought process for sure. We're going to do a lot more testing on them as well this summer. But I think there's some good things there.
Now, is this kind of a what I want to say? Is this kind of a prep blocker kind of thing? Because I know Mike Burris is not a fan of prep at all.
Yeah, and he won't be hesitant to tell you that. They're and most of the Burris tires are designed that prep isn't needed. These ones especially, they're designed to create a lot more side bite, which should help these big horsepower carts hook up to the track.
So I'm guessing here. I'm looking a B33B compound. Is that what that's what I'm seeing from West Snow. So I don't know. So you think that's a positive then? I mean, that's a good thing that Burris is thinking outside the box and trying to go somewhere else?
Absolutely. And I think that's what it takes right now. Because really we have the horsepower, we have the chassis. Right now the open carts are limited by the tire technology that's out there. And it's going to take somebody like Mike Burris, coming up with a new design to make us faster.
Well, I was talking to Wes Snow a little bit last week, and he was talking to me about, because I haven't been back east like some of you guys have and whatnot, but he was saying, the prep game is really big back there, and you got to know it. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay, yeah, I get that, but he's telling me these guys are coming in and maybe they're a little bit off, and and the guy's going, yeah, well, I had 30 cc's of prep on the inside, and I need a tire that's got 60 or 65 cc's on the inside, and maybe 10 cc's on the outside or whatever it is. And I'm just going, you gotta be kidding me. It is to that point back there.
It is. It's a crazy game. You not only have the chemical aspect of it, but you're also you're cutting the tire, you're shaping the tire to create to get them within the heat range that you want, to get them to create the bite that you need on that specific tire. So it comes down to a combination of tire manufacturer, tire shape, the chemicals you have in it. So what Burris is trying to do is really good for the sport, I believe, and try and take a lot of, honestly, the guesswork out of it, because the only way that you get fast with prepping tires is trial and error. And honestly, it's a lot of air.
Wow. I mean, I couldn't believe I just couldn't believe how important. I mean, to come in and be able to know that you're 10 or 15 cc's off on. I don't care what anybody says. That's knowing the gear pretty good.
Oh, absolutely, and that's why a quote unquote tire guy back there is such a critical person to have in your arsenal. Somebody who's going to know the track. You can tell them, hey, I'm going to this track this weekend. And they can just be like, yeah, you need to start with this. If the track does this, move on to these.
Wow, that's crazy. Hey, just tuning in, some of you see on the chat line, his name's James O'Brien, and he's with the E-Cart Group. I just want to say a quick shout-out. He has got a cool deal going on over there in Boise. It's eShifter.com, and he's also got e4cycle.com. And he's looking to be karting's, next Costco. He wants it all. And so he's got shifter stuff. A lot of it's asphalt, but I think, you'll see him picking up on the speedway side of things and getting things rolling. So, be sure you guys give a shout out to James O'Brien. He's a great guy. He's got a great product going on over there with the e-shifter cart and E4 cycle. It's online. Be sure you check him out. He just had his grand opening here. I think it was last weekend or the weekend before. But he's a quality guy, and he's got a good thing going, and I think we all should try to support him as much as we can on this deal because, He's got a lot vested. He's got a video thing, so if he needs stuff edited, whatnot, I mean, he's just got it going on. So
yeah, beautiful websites he's got too.
Yeah, they are cool. Stephen Chase checking in. Oh, smoking Stephen Chase. Good to see him in the house. Hey, Dick's in the house. Kurt Fostick in the house. Good to have him here. And, of course, a little late 19 says JP Karting. You got to love it, man. The first liar don't stand a chance on here. I'm telling you what.
It's a tough crowd for sure.
Yeah, so in the meantime, our in the seat guest, Mr. Christopher Rawlings, man, he's an interesting guy. The Topher Classic, and so we're going to be chatting with him in just a few short moments. But we're going to kind of move on and get started here. We got some stuff on, and I did some checking. The SCUSA deal. They did a change on their spec fuel, and so I did a little research on it, and I just wanted to pass it on. Some of you may already know this, and some of you may not, but one time, chime in if there's anything. Number one, the thing I found out is there's more to race fuel than just octane. It's only a measurement. And it's only a measurement of the fuel's resistance to detonation, nothing more. So those of you thinking it is, it's not. So be sure you know that that's all it does is it's a measurement for its resistance to detonation. Hang on just a second. Ooh, Mr. Rawlings, is that you, my man?
Terry Bridges is Topher.
Hey, man, Mr. Topher. Hey, I want to tell everybody, this guy he runs the Topher Classic, and those of you may know that big speedway race that they have every year, the Topher Classic. And, man, he is just Mr. Cage Kart. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be on.
Awesome, man. I'm so glad you're here. So first of all, and say hi to One Time. He's sitting here next to me.
One Time, how's it going?
Hey, not too bad, and thanks for calling in.
Absolutely.
Hey, so tell everybody listening in a little bit about Christopher Rawlings and how the Topher got started.
Well, I actually started flagging for Ron Rattery at the Sand Hollow Raceway Park in Sand Hollow, Idaho, back in 2007. I did that for a few years, helped it out, and one day decided that I wanted to put on my own custom-made event. We did it there at Sand Hollow in 2009. I was 18 years old and never would have imagined that 6 years later I'd have what I have now with the turnout and the support from the cage kart community. And I mean, it's grown into what I never would have imagined. So we had our sixth event this year. Jake Park picked up the win. We've had past winners Ryan Foster and Keith Bloom, Daniel Becker, and our local Kyle Hosfeld won the first 2 years. And it's amazing what it's turned into. I'm really impressed. So,
well, let me just tell you, Chris. I mean, I think usually turnouts and things of that nature and the way it grows is only a testament to the guy putting it on. So, I mean, take some credit there. You must be a stand-up promoter, and you must, back up what you say. And I think that's really all racers want at the end of the day is somebody that's going to do what they say, have what's there that they say is going to be there. And, I mean, a lot of that's a testament to you, man.
Well, one thing, and I mean, over the last 6 years, I've learned that having the respect of the racers and understanding their needs should be priority one to any promoter. I mean, it's really it goes tenfold when you have an event that is catered to the people racing. I mean, without them, you don't have a show. So it's really important to make sure that you're doing what's best for the racers as well as meeting the standards for the sport. So, I mean, you promote an event, and it needs to have a certain quality to it that that's going to benefit everybody in the end.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. You know, and with that being said, do you actually own the racetrack that you're running at, or what's up with that?
No, so the second year we moved it to the Owyhee Motorcycle Club in Boise, Idaho, and it's actually owned. It's a nonprofit club owned by the members of the club, and so I'm actually the vice president of the short track there. Been doing that for 3 years now, and so every year we rent out the facility for the Topher Classic, and put on our own deal. All year long we host events at our Caldwell O'Connor Fieldhouse indoor facility in Caldwell, Idaho, and then in the summertime we run a full season at the Circle Track up at the club grounds in Boise. And so that's what we do all year round, and then the one weekend we put on Topher Classic. It's a separate deal. I take off the vice president's hat and I put on the Topher hat.
Wow.
Hey, so Topher, I got to ask, you listed off the past winners of the Topher Classic, and you got the kind of the who's who of cage kart guys. So you get a chance to see all the big names. With Cage Cup right around the corner, what do you think it's going to take in your mind to win that one?
I was talking to Matt earlier today, and we were discussing how many laps they plan on running. And I mean, we run 50 at our event in Boise, and I was informed that we're going to 40 laps for the Cage Cup this year, which I think is awesome, and something that endures for the drivers is that they have to withstand a lot of changing track conditions. They're obviously going to have to make a pit stop. I'm not sure what he's got planned for rules on allowing drivers to change anything on pit stops. That kind of all plays into it. I mean, choosing the right compounded tire, it's going to be an Ironman type of race where you've got to outlast everybody else's stuff. And in the end, the driver that does that best is going to prevail.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially with as much power as they got, you can't burn the tires up early in a race that long. So now, my next question, who is your favorite to win this thing? I know that's going to be a tough one with as many good racers and, with luck not being on everyone's side. But who do you think is going to pull it off this year?
Well, I mean, since the inauguration, I mean, we've had 3 winners under the title of Cage Cup, Jake Ferguson, Ryan Foster, and Colby Copeland. And then before that, it was under the name of the King of the West deal, where David Lyons and Ben Hinkle were both winners. That list of drivers right there, I mean, is got a great possibility. Colby definitely, I mean, a stand-up guy and a great driver. He's definitely got a chance at a repeat. Ryan Foster, I mean, always up there in front. But a guy that you guys were talking about just moments ago that got his first win of the season at Red Bluff, Mike Wheeler, definitely, I mean, he's a wheelman and a half. And with his QRC support, I don't see how you can't say that he's got to be one of the top 3 favorites. I mean, the Seeley brothers are always up there in front on these big shows too. So, but definitely, I mean, it's going to be a race of whoever can hold their stuff off the best. And I mean, 2 favorites from my hometown, Zane Lee and Dane Amick, always good drivers. I really like to hope that an Idahoan can get it done, but definitely, I mean, those 5 drivers, there's a good top 10, top 15 that have a shot at it, and obviously it's gonna. I mean, there's no clear-headed way to be able to name a winner, but definitely one of those guys is going to get it done.
Do you think having the switching it to the 40 laps, is that going to help the more experienced driver? I mean, you have nowadays half the people out there winning are under 16 years old. There's so many fast kids, but are they going to be able to hold it together?
I mean, that's something that comes with experience. But I think that the way that these drivers are coming up through the ranks, they're getting a lot of those good experiences in, like, say, the 250 class and the Subaru classes, and they're working their way and they're learning a lot. And, I mean, that just goes to show, like, drivers like, Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson that are in NASCAR now. I mean, they're learning so much in these go-karts that that really by the time that they get even to the open class and the 500s, that they've got enough experience that they should be able to understand the technology behind these karts to be able to make them last.
Yeah, that's and that again, that's what I say when I say, hey, when does karting, get a little bit of respect, that it deserves? I mean, I think a lot of these people, they overlook it. They don't have, they think it's easy, and then you look at the show they got on, bless its heart and everything, but the kart life thing is totally not even close to what, karting, truly is. But Topher, before we let you go, I gotta tell you, I was fortunate enough to get one of your Idahoans on the show. He's going to be on right before, I think it's the last week before the Cage Cup. Dane Amick's going to join us. Colby Copeland's going to be on next week. So we got some good cage kart guys going to be on the show.
I think it's great what you're doing with the Northwest Race Report, and bringing the exposure to what great racing we have right here in the Northwest. You get a lot of attention in, like, Southern California and back east and everything, and to actually give us a chance to voice our opinions and stuff like that, I think it's great what you're doing for the sport.
Well, I appreciate that, Chris. And don't be afraid, and let your people know that, I'm always looking for topics. So if there's somebody or someone, and don't kid yourself, this won't be the last time you're on the show. Maybe if you get up this way, you can maybe sit in on a show with me in one time and see what's happening. But, man, I'd love to hear from you. If there's something you want to see on the show, something you'd like to see covered, man, let me know, and I'll do my best to get it on the show.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. And I'd like to let everybody know that we do have the West Coast Nationals coming up at Red Bluff, final event of the season coming up in 2 weeks. So a lot of money on the line in 2015 here in this month of March with Cage Cup and the Nationals. And then Mike Wheeler picking up that $1,000 last week down there in Red Bluff. So, a lot of attention going on this month, and I think it's great what you've done for cage karting and having all these great drivers on your show.
Man, Chris, thank you so much, and we're looking forward to the Topher coming up. It seems like it's a long ways away, but it'll be here before you know it.
It sneaks up on me every year, and find myself ramping up at the last minute. But we put together a good show, and I'm looking forward to. We've grown it every year, more and more cars. So hopefully that continues, and maybe we'll get another first-time winner.
Well, hey, man, I just want to say before we let you go, you join me again on the show sometime?
Absolutely.
Awesome. One time you got something?
Yeah, well, no, I just want to say congratulations for what you've done with the Topher Classic. It's something you definitely hear about all year, and people really gear up for it. So I just wish you continued success with that.
I appreciate that, and we look forward to it, and hopefully we'll be on the show closer as that approaches and give you some more updates on what to expect.
Oh, no doubt, Mr. Topher. We'll have you on for sure. And like I said, I'd love to have you as a guest host sometime. So if you ever make it up this way, let me know, man. We'll get you on here live. We'll have a good old time.
Perfect. Sounds like a plan.
All right, Chris. Thank you so much for calling in.
All right. Thanks, Terry. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Bye-bye. Man, Mr. Topher himself, what a guy. He's got quite a thing going on over there.
Absolutely. I didn't realize, how kind of new that event was, and very impressive what he's taken it to in just the last 6 years.
That's what I'm saying. I thought it'd been here a lot longer than that. I heard about it doing, I did the Summer Sizzle the last couple times, and we got to talking. He said, man, we got to get you over there to call that. And it didn't work out this last year because some things happened that he couldn't control, but maybe next year I get over there and get to call that thing. But I'd love to call it. I think it'd be a great time, but
Well, it's turned into one of those races to win. Like everybody wants to win Cage Cup. Everybody wants to win the West Coast Nationals at Red Bluff. It's one of the races, just like in the Speedway stuff. You want to win the BK. It's not about the money. It's about winning that race.
And that's what's so awesome about that is hey, the money's even oh man, I was talking. Who was I talking to just the other night? It's Kyle Schmidt. He was saying, yeah, I'm thinking about running. I'm thinking about running the Cage Cup, and I'm like, yeah, $1,500 to win. He's like, it's not about the money. It's just about getting out there and racing against the good competition. So, I mean,
yeah, absolutely. And it's. I think the money can bring people in, but it's really not what it's about. Everybody's in it for the competition, and if you can say that you won Cage Cup, or if you won the BK, that's something. I mean, that's a trophy you hold on to.
It is, and they're unique enough and cool enough and different enough that it really is. It makes it a big deal. So we got about our last segment. Like we said, we started a little bit early, but in our loading up segment, we got going on was on race fuel. Now everybody knows a little something about it. I mean, there are some guys that are running alcohol and that type of thing. But I know they went to, I want to say the SCUSA deal switched over to the C12, I think is now legal. And, I don't know why they did that. I'm not sure why, but, because they've got a deal there in the Rotex deal. You can only buy it from a certain station, I mean, some of the other classes like the Rotex seniors and juniors, they're going to still be on like the Chevron stuff, and so they can't. They've got to buy it from a certain station. I don't know how much I'm in favor of that or not. I'm thinking either your fuel passes or it doesn't. I don't.
Well, I mean, they've gotten so trick with some of the fuels these days to pass certain tests, and you look at some of the costs of this race fuel. You can get up and pay $50 a gallon for this stuff, and I think that's what they're really trying to control.
Well, and that could very well be, but with that being said, I did some checking now. How deep? I didn't call anybody, but I'm thinking that might be a good topic for one of the shows is to get somebody with this fuel thing on to really give us an idea. But some of the basic things, like we started out earlier, is fuel is more than the race fuel is more than just octane. Really, what it is, it's a measurement of the fuel's resistance to detonation. Nothing more. And the motor method is the one you want to be going by, not the research method, but you want to be going by the MON method. And my understanding is it's because the research method is just that. They just do it on research. They're not actually like the MON method, the motor method is they actually use it and test it. It's like on a little one-cylinder, motor that they test it on, and that's how they do it. So that's the kind of the accepted judge right there. Do you know anything more on that?
Well, when talking about octane, so many people think the higher the better, and it really depends on what engine it's going in. If you have a lower compression engine, you don't want to run a very high octane fuel because it's not going to be able to actually burn all the fuel. The higher octane is meant for the higher compression ratio motors to help keep the heat down. And so, if you run a low octane fuel and a high compression motor, you're going to get the detonation, and it can definitely lead towards engine failure and damaged parts.
Well, and there was that Kevin Bridges put, Blendzall makes my truck smell good. I dump it in the old fuel in the truck. I'll tell you what, yeah, the old gold label used to smell really good that they used to use. But that brings us to the RVP. That's another number. I don't know, maybe some of you do, maybe some of you don't, but it's called Reed Vapor Pressure. And that's really the measurement of how volatile a fuel is, or in other words, how easy is it to convert the gas or the liquid to a vapor, which is what you want in the combustion chamber. I mean, but there again, more isn't always better, because if you get more, you can cause yourself a vapor lock. Like they say, 5 to 7 is the number that's generally of most race fuels. 12 to 14 is like super volatile. and it would probably burn awesome, but you're probably going to get a vapor lock because it's taken off before it even gets there.
Yeah, I mean, Wes Snow had a great comment here. Is the oxygen content of the fuel? It's where it's at, and that's absolutely true. The whole purpose, the whole way that fuel is going to burn is by atomizing it, getting it to mix with the air properly, and that's how you're going to get a proper burn.
Well, but I know in the SCUs and all that, oxygenated fuels are not legal. I mean, I think that's why they've done away with the. That's why you got to use the Chevron, pump stuff, because they don't want oxygen. I mean, that's totally illegal there.
Yeah, and the oxygenated fuel is the stuff that's very costly.
Yeah. What did Chase say? $136 for a pail. I mean, I'm thinking that's 5 gallons. That's ridiculous. But specific gravity is another important thing you want to look at. And they, you can, what is it? It's 64.5 or 64.6, and you do some division. And you want to, and I don't know, Shane, maybe you can clear this up, but it said 14-1. It's considered the perfect tuning number. 14 pounds of air for every gallon of fuel. Most tune in the 12-1 to 13-1 range. And it says, this is not as important in leaded fuel as it is in unleaded fuel.
Yeah, your 14-1 fuel mixture ratio is going to be is your stoichiometric efficiency. And that's going to be your goal line for most passenger vehicles. When you get into the racing stuff, to keep the temperatures down and to create the most power, you're going to be right around 12.5-1 on your fuel ratio.
So does that mean if you're in the 12-1 or 30, you got to run a fatter mixture, or would it mean that at 14-1 you would run more on the fat side?
You're going to be running in the 12.5, which is going to be a little bit fatter.
Okay, and I think that's what it said on there. And second to the last item they had on there was boiling point was an important factor in this that you should pay attention to. Anything in the 260 to 275 range is considered high, and that's pretty much the cutoff point. You don't want to get much higher than that. And that most race fuels are in the 225 to 235 range. I don't know much. I don't know much about that.
Yeah, it's not something we have to deal with too much in karting, luckily. But I know in car racing, a lot goes into keeping fuel cool and cold, and you want to keep it condensed too. And that's part of it because they actually make fuel coolers. I've seen CO2 powered fuel coolers will run fuel through a refrigerated line.
Wow, that would be. I got to just say this. Ford Cook is going to buy us teleprompters. Now, that would be really cool. We could have the Ford Cook design teleprompter running right here. That would be, because I just saw him put teleprompter on there. And, man.
Well, the only problem with is he doesn't realize that we were making this up the entire time. So we'd have nothing to put on the teleprompter.
Oh, yeah. And then Kevin Bridges has got to say, Stochio what? Well, see, that's the difference.
Stoichiometric efficiency. It just spelled just how it sounds.
Yeah. So Ford Cook says nope. Well, I guess the teleprompters are out, but oh well. We'll keep going. Moving on to our next teleprompter thing. So I don't know about the boiling point. I don't know. I just know they said that was an important thing to do. I'm not sure. Does it matter that much? I mean.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, it's not as bad in karting as other forms because everything's so open, and the other, the engine heat gets dissipated rather quickly. But it comes back to having vapor lock issues, introducing, anytime that you're going to have any small amount of air in a fuel line, once you get heat, that air pocket's just going to grow, and that's how you get a vapor lock. So keeping the heat down, keeping the fuel nice and dense, it's just like keeping a nice dense air charge, because the colder the air, the more dense it is, the more oxygen you're putting into the combustion chamber, the more power you're going to get out of it.
And that's exactly what it was. And, lastly, and I think this is probably the most important thing, just because most people can understand this, and it's an easy thing to do, but I think it's something that often gets overlooked. 2 to 4 weeks is about all the longer you can expect fuel to last in a plastic jug. And as a matter of fact, that's probably pushing it the 2 to 4 weeks. So, and the important chemicals evaporate throughout the plastic, and it's supposed to be, I guess they say, the jugs are for transferring the fuel, not necessarily storing the fuel.
Absolutely. When storing fuel, you definitely want to keep it up off of the ground, and in a cool, dry area.
Preferably a steel can, I would think. Correct? I mean,
yeah, that's going to be your best bet. Especially when you're dealing with methanol, the methanol will actually absorb water through the container, through the plastic container.
Well, and here's my deal. If you, what was I going to say here? So if you have a metal container, I guess you're okay, right? I mean, if you're not using the plastic jugs and you're using, like the old Klotz 5-gallon cans.
Yeah, like the VP or the...
Yeah.
I think, honestly, your best bet is to buy it in as small of quantities as you're going to use for that upcoming race. It's a little bit more of a pain to buy it that way, but, it's
if
you end up throwing out half of it anyway, you're no better off. And, the last thing I want to touch on with with fuel storage and usage, when we get into the two-stroke stuff, only mix the amount of fuel you're going to use for that day. Don't mix any more because you're just going to end up throwing it out, and you only want to use it for that day.
So you don't want to mix a 5-gallon jug of two-stroke stuff, really.
No, usually, on a race weekend or on a race day running the two-stroke, I'll mix fuel 2 to 3 times a day. I usually do it as
you need it.
Yep.
And perfect. Okay, so before we get close, we'll close it out here. But Kevin Bridges says nitro has oxygen in it. Don't even need much air.
Yeah, I'd love to see nitro in a cart, but
it doesn't do good.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
You'd scatter some pieces and it'd get expensive.
We did it with Bruce Volstead. We went to Hager's and Bill Shields was behind the counter, and he sold us a little bottle of it, and he said no more than 10%. Well, you know that deal.
Well, if 10%'s good, 20%'s got to be a lot better, right?
Yeah, and we ended up with piston, and I mean there was nothing left, and I mean. You could hear the hammers. I mean, we didn't even make it a half a light. You could hear. I mean, there was no doubt where it was going, so it wasn't a bad deal. So hopefully, you guys, you kind of remember the motor method is the madness you want to go by as far as your octane. Keep an eye on that reed vapor pressure, specific gravity, and the stoichio content. So as one time told us. The boiling point, you want to make sure you got that under control. And lastly, 2 to 4 weeks, but you should only be mixing up the fuel you need as you need it. So, and one time I'm just going to say, a lot of guys, they're joking on here about what we're saying because it's a common knowledge. But, I mean, honestly, I think you'd be surprised how many people don't know about that. I mean,
I think it's just one of those overlooked items in racing. We all kind of take it for granted. We use race fuel as a general term, but there's so many different fuels out there, so many different manufacturers. And when in doubt, talk to your engine builder, see what he likes to run, because I guarantee that he's done more testing on them than you have.
Absolutely, and I'm a believer of this. Some of the stuff you're going to hear on here is it's repetition, and some of you may have seen it. Some of you may have heard it already, but, I mean, I'm a believer. Anybody that's pro anything, basketball, football, whatever it is, what do they always do if they have problems? They go back to the fundamentals. So my belief is you may hear some of this stuff, and it might be kind of boring to you, but remember, there might be a listener out there that doesn't know or that is just getting started. And it doesn't hurt even the pros to hear those fundamentals over and over again.
Absolutely. I mean, I guarantee Kobe practices a jump shot, and I'm sure he's taken a million of them, but we still go back and go over the same thing. So we're no different.
Absolutely. So, bear with us on that. Like I said, yes, Dick's pro. But if there's something you want to see on the show, there's something somebody you feel deserves to be on the show, or something you want to see covered, man, let us know. Let Shane know. You can go to Northwest Speedway Karting on Facebook and be sure you check that out. There's lots of great information there. That's Shane's page there. Shane, anything you got before we send them on their way?
Just you can go ahead and check out Northwest Speedway Karting. We also have the event, the swap meet, coming up April 26th. So maybe you need to make sure to jump on there and let us know if you're headed out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And those of you going to the Race-A-Rama, Case Hankins, and hopefully the Rocket gets his guy to go. Good luck to everybody. Somebody bring us some stats, so we got something for next week. But Shane, man, as always, it was awesome having you being a part of the show. Looking forward to your next Hanging with One Time.
Yeah, no, it was an absolute pleasure, and hopefully it helped.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it did. So remember, guys, if somebody's on the bottom, you got to go to the outside. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.